Hello, guys.
Hello.
We're live, and we apologize that I'm a little late, technical difficulties. But anyway, we're going to get right into it.
We're here today.
We're here today.
And welcome back to our Back to Eden.
Yeah, our Back to Eden, because we changed the name, right?
Yes, our Back to Eden. It is our Back to Eden.
That's right.
We just shortened the name to simplify some of the things that we saw coming up, and my husband is really big on trying to get the tech together on that end. So we're having more technical issues than anything because he's really wanting to get this right so we can bring the footage to you guys in a right way that is not confusing. So bear
Right.
with us. We're learning as we go, and every day we hope to get a little bit better and
Right.
better in what
We
we're
do.
doing. But thank you once again for coming back
Mm-hmm.
to us. And today we're going to be talking about grafting.
Grafting, yes.
Grafting. This is basically all about what he does with the grafting. I have questions all the time. So, putting these questions out here, and he's doing that. But he's been really big on doing different types of grafting, and we're going to talk about the grafting he's doing right now on our trees and show you a little bit of footage from Paul Gauchi
Yes.
and also from my husband, Gary.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to show you a little bit of that before we get into it.
Before we begin, we also want to acknowledge everybody that are subscribers.
Yes.
Because if it wasn't for you guys, we couldn't do this content that we do. It's something that my wife and I enjoy.
Yes.
But just a short spiel. Some subscribers come in. We're grateful that you subscribe with us. But when I look back to follow to see if I can subscribe back to you, I see that either there's been no content submitted in years, and you guys are very, very capable of doing content. You have a lot to say, and we're waiting to hear what you got to say. But
And we would love
please,
to support you. And that's
yes,
the other thing. We want to support you as you've been supporting us. And we appreciate everyone and the ones that come back to ask us questions and our comments when we're on our lives.
right,
Because it gives us an opportunity to share with you what we're doing
mm-hmm.
and see if it's valuable information or if it's something that people really want to know.
Right.
We're growing as being seniors. We're still growing too. We continue to hope to grow and see things. We do a lot of things, and a lot of it we don't put on footage. We
Right.
don't have it out there because we're trying to see what people really want to see. We have a lot, and there's going to be a lot more coming up where we're open to changing that to kind of even more because there's so much about a garden. It doesn't stop. Once you open it up, it's it's everything there.
A
Just
blessing that keeps on giving.
it keeps on giving. That's a perfect term. It is a gift that keeps on giving. So we want to give back to you as well. So be sure to like and subscribe to our channel and make sure you make those comments. And thank you so much for the ones that have been coming back, our faithful viewers that have been coming back and asking us questions. I know Kim is one of those people. And,
Yes, Kim gathers.
yes, and we appreciate that. And my husband does a lot more of the talking on there, even though I answer questions through him, and at any time I'm able to. But he will do the tech stuff usually on there. But it's appreciated. Yeah.
So here we go. And I'm going to show a clip from me doing a grafting because it's important to understand why you graft your trees. One is to produce more life in the tree, but a diversity of fruits. And there's many ways that you can graft trees. Some trees you can multi-graft with different fruits. So let me run this clip.
And before you run that clip, let me say this. A lot of people are saying there's no sense in, a lot of people don't believe in grafting, and that's okay too. It's up to every individual on what they want to do with their gardens and how they want their gardens to grow.
Okay.
So we appreciate all of the methods, and this is just what we're doing.
Okay. So we're going to run a clip for you. And also we're going to show one of Paul Gauchi.
Yes. So you're out there this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my husband's been doing grafting and pruning. We both have been doing pruning. We're busy.
We shorten the name from our back to Eden. Of our Heavenly Father. Our back to Eden garden here in western United States, or particularly North Las Vegas, is a very hostile environment to grow anything in. So you have to be able to use wisdom, and Joshua gives my wife and I that wisdom. But I want to show you how everything in the physical points to the natural. I'm going to read something from Romans, the 11th chapter. And Paul was speaking about grafting, because we take for granted that we graft trees and we graft our ornamental bushes, our fruit trees, that it's just a physical, exercise that we go through in our garden. But let me show you something about where it really comes from. Joshua, who's the Holy Spirit in Paul, said, Romans 11, starting at 13, for I speak to Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify mine office. If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are in my flesh, and might save some of them. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be? But life from the dead. For if the first fruits be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches be broken off, which is all mankind who didn't have a relationship with Yahshua, who the world erroneously called Jesus Christ, and thou being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them. So we're still talking about grafting, but we're talking about spiritual, and then I'm gonna show you how that plays out in the physical. And with them partakest of the root and fatness of the olive tree. See, boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. So we're talking about grafting today. So Yahshua was telling us that he's grafting us into his own body, see, and so that we might flourish and bear fruit. So I'm going to graft a American, I think it's American apricot tree to this Russian apricot tree. So we see the spiritual principles, so I'm going to exercise that in the physical. So I just thought I'd share a little bit about how when you garden, it's showing the principles of death, burial, and resurrection. Because Joshua did die, he was buried, and he resurrected. So everything in nature, animal and vegetable kingdom, our bodies, our lives go through the principles of death, burial, and resurrection, because it's pointing to Yahshua, because he died, buried, and resurrected, and ascended to us, which means fruition of being born, or you're bearing fruit. And we want to bear fruit in our lives that we might give glory to Yahshua, who's our Savior, see, and to his Father Yahweh. So let me show you what the physical looks like. So, okay, so that's, I'm going to show you that grafting, how it appears in nature, how we do to give the tree more fruit. I'll run another clip of that. So I'm going to show a shorter clip so that we can get on with it. Okay. Today, this is about grafting. So I'm going to take a limb from this apricot tree. I think it's an American apricot tree, and I'm going to put it on our Russian apricot tree at the other end of our garden. So I'm going to try to select a limb that is the same width and thickness. So look like this one may be a good candidate. I think I'm going to do the other tree. So let me walk down here. Let's see. I'm going to give you a condensed version of that tree. And Now,
Yeah.
if you look at this limb, I hope I can get it close enough where you can see this part, or the cambium, or the live part of the inside of the branch. See, you want that to match where you cut the limb off on the branch that you're going to plant this in. Outside is just the bark, and in the center, that's like the skeletal system. That's dead. So you don't have to worry about that part there. But you want to match up this cambium with the cambium that's on here. If I can show that to you. And I'm going to give you also Paul Gauchi. He demonstrates as well. He's a master gardener. So this is the cambium here. So you want that to match up. So I'm going to give it a go. We just talked about the spiritual significance of grafting, how we're grafted into our Creator. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to split this. This limb is a thick limb, so let me see. Right down the center. There you go. So I split that. It's not an even split, but a split. There you go. See how I'm doing that? You see that? So I split that cambium. And now I'm going to
I want to pause this
expose
for
the
a second.
cambium on this branch here. So what I want to do,
Okay. I'm going to go back to that.
okay, so I'm going to graft this Russian apricot limb into the American one.
Oh, I see. You have
This
the
is the
Russian
cambium.
and the
Right.
So you want to
Mormon,
make sure
Right.
the cambium, that
two
the
apricot,
branch that you
Right.
cut, see
A
how I
different
cut
fruit.
that?
different,
The camera
like-
going crazy. And then I'm going to place it right into, let's see, the opening, which is a slit. There you go. Right in there. You see that?
that's good. Wow.
So fit that in there so it would
It looked
take.
like the same size.
Yes. Yeah. And because I know, I'm probably I'm talking, I'm going to pause this.
Make sure that's very tight so that the limb will stay stable. I'll put some more tape on there. So what's going to happen when the heat comes, when the sun comes, it's going to heat that tape up and the cambium, and the sap that's going to be running from the roots is going to go through this other branch and it's going to bud. And what I'll do is when that starts taking place, I will film the bud on this tree. I'm going to mark it so that you'll see that there will be buds coming on this tree and fruit. Very tight, because you want that to bind. And you don't want to leave any air between this tape, so it has to be sealed so that the sap will run continuously from the limb that I cut to the branch that is being grafted into this tree. It very much makes me think about
There we
how
go.
God will graft us in, giving us His Holy Spirit.
Excellent.
Yep, into these physical bodies. And
And that's how
perfect
you graft
symbiotic relationship.
another limb into another fruit tree, and you get two different fruits. Now you can also graft a tree and get multiple different types of fruit. So I hope that is giving you some knowledge and how you can graft your own fruit trees. There are tools you can buy on Amazon that are grafting tools. I haven't used one. This is a simple method that Paul Gauchi, who is a master gardener, you can go to his channel on Back to Eden, and he has different methods in his garden that he used to get the bounty that Yahshua has blessed him with. So we're going to hope that this takes. Again, this is the Russian apricot tree. So you'll be seeing buds come off of here. I'm going to be so excited. I can't hardly wait. And you see the limb? If I can show you. Let's see. Here we go. You see the color of the limb? This limb here is different from this limb. You see the color of it? So it lets you know it came off on our other tree. Thanks, guys. This is Gary from our Back to Eden Garden. Continue to stay with us. We have new tips, tricks, and garden hacks that we'd like to show you in your garden. Take care.
That's awesome. So while you're bringing up that other one, I have this question that was asked: can you graft any type of tree to any tree? And the answer was
No, you can't.
they have to be the same kind of
Right,
fruit.
species. Right.
Fruit. So any type of apricots will go with apricots. Any type of apples will go with apples. Any type of pears will go with pears.
Right.
But they have to be related in some way. You can't just say, "Oh, fine, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take a rose and put on here," or
Right.
some other type of pine tree. They,
Right.
they have to be related.
It's like
Same type of fruit.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like taking a pig feet and put it on your hand because you.
How did
it
we,
ain't gonna work.
can I get one of those little things like that? How did we get there?
It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work.
Pig?
Pig. Yeah, pig feet. You know,
This is a sci-fi. Let's go some other place. No,
I just want to say about that grafting. All grafting don't work.
that's a sci-fi movie, honey.
Yep.
That's a sci-fi for sure.
All right, we're gonna show a clip now of Paul Gauchi. He's a master gardener.
Okay.
Pig hand, yeah, right. But they did do that in a surgery.
I want to see Paul Gauchi.
Okay, it didn't work.
Thank you.
Okay, all righty.
Pig feet.
Pig feet, a hand.
Hi, Paul.
All righty. Paul's talking.
We can't hear his voice.
We will in a second.
It'll take. Now here's how easy it is to do. And you want to make sure, this is easy because these are all exact, you want to make sure that the piece you're grafting in is the same diameter as what you're grafting into, because this cambium layer here, if you look close, there's a little green edge right below the bark. That's the only live part of the tree. The center part of the tree is dead. It's just there for support. It's not living. The only live part of the tree is that green cambium layer, and they must come in contact one with another for the graft to take. And so you must have the same diameter material at this end and at this end so they line up. And so what you'll do is a part that you want to cut in, graft into, you'll take a pruner and split it right down the center here, make an opening. You'll take this piece and cut it so it'll slide into that. Make it at an angle like this, like that. And you'll open this up. Put this little tool in here to get a little gap. Just slide this into your opening. You see there? You see you can see now how it's stuck in there, and you see they're totally lined up. And then you just take your tape, electrical tape, and you want to buy that cheap stuff from Taiwan, the real thin stuff, because it's really flexible and nice, not the heavy, really good quality.
You must have
And
came
you
from Riley's.
you just wrap this, and you just wrap it nice and tight. See, as you wrap it tight, you're pulling that in very, very close. You're taking out all the airspace. And as you wrap this tight, you're making this joint immovable, so it's not going to flex. You wrap that back and around. and you're done. Now, here's the cool thing about the black tape. You see, that black tape is going to keep that from moving. Look at that. You see, the wind's going to happen. It's not going to affect it. Because it's wrapped tightly, it keeps all the air out, so it's not going to dry out. And because it's black, when the sun hits it, it's going to heal quicker, and you're going to have this amazing graft. Now, let me take you over and show you one that I did last year and show you how nice it goes. Look how nice and smooth that is. You see how, you see all the books that tell you got to have a grafting paste, and you got to have pins and stuff to hold it in place. This is so convenient. All you need is a roll of black tape and your pruners, and you can graft all day long. It's simple. You know, and look how nice that is. I mean, it's just, it's such a beautiful, totally inflexible. Look at that. It's not going to move. Totally keeps everything in there tight, and it's completely convenient and really effective. Now let's walk over here and I'll show you one that I did last year and show you how nice they grow into each other.
If you notice, it's
This
trees.
is one I did last year. You can see how nicely that's all healed in. And you can see that's definitely a graft, and you can see that this apple here is different than that one. This is a whole other variety that's now growing into my tree.
Oh, wow.
You can see the difference. This is a whole different apple.
So how long until you take the tape off, or does it just
The
go
tape will
off
just on its own as this expands. The tape just eventually just breaks off. But you don't have to take it off; it comes off on its own. And this is how easy it is. It's just such a quick, simple, self-maintaining. No effort on yours, no maintenance part. It's just, and look how nicely that's all healed over and grown in.
How many different, say, varieties of apple can I put on one tree?
You can do as many as you want. The challenge with apples, pears are better to do because all pears grow the same rate. Apples don't. And like a Gravenstein will grow a lot more than some others, and so you'll get these real imbalanced branches. And so it's a real challenge. I know these two are going to be very similar, so I did it. But apples are a major challenge to graft multiple varieties because you'll get real imbalance in the tree. Where pears, you can do as many pears you want because they all grow the same. Now let me point out something here too for all of you because this is really cool. I'm glad I just saw it. I want you to focus on your camera here. You see this right here on my tree? This little mass of material that's not part of the bark.
Right.
Okay.
So that will go back to camera source. So that was Paul Gauchi. You can see him on YouTube, and I'll leave a link below. But I wanted to show you what he's talking about, that you don't need tools. You can go on Amazon and get them. But I have a pair that I bought off of Amazon, and I would have to kind of practice with these to go out there and graft a tree. And it probably would take me a while to try to lose this unless I went on YouTube to see. It looks pretty simple and straightforward, but Paul's method to me is the best, and that's what I used yesterday, what you saw in the video. So give me a second. I want to pull that up for you so you can see that, how the tools that you can buy on Amazon for grafting. But I would suggest that you use just a good pair of pruners and some electrical tape. But if you decide that you want to go high tech, here's the ones that I purchased last March.
Okay. So what is the best time to do the grafting while we're waiting?
I would say in November, in the fall. That
I thought it was early winter and spring.
Right, this winter. Winter starts.
Yeah, so winter.
Right, in November. But
November. Okay. So I mean, like, is this too late then, February?
you know what, you got a good point.
Because they said I thought it was February, but then I heard it's better because of the sap not running. The same thing when we were talking about.
Right, and that's what I was getting ready to hit on.
Okay.
See, Paul was talking about that you take that graft, that scion wood, which is what that is. You take a graft from a tree, you cut that from a tree, and you put it in the refrigerator, wrap the end of it real good so it won't freeze, but it will still stay moist. And what's going to happen is that's going to stay there until spring, when the temperature starts to rise. But what I wanted to say also is that when that happens, you should be ready. But here in southern Nevada, our temperatures spring comes a lot quicker and it's shorter. So we just did some pruning, I think a week or two ago, my wife and I.
The last couple of weeks we've been pruning every week.
Right, and there's been sap already running up.
It's trying.
Right.
The buds are,
So that let us know it's time here in southern Nevada, not in April, but now. So that's why I grafted yesterday, because we have sap in some of our plants starting to run. So this is a good time to graft in those branches to the tree so that the buds will start to form.
so you agree that most grafting is done late winter and early spring before the growth
Yes.
begins? Because once those buds start to come out, the same thing that we talked about before,
Right.
all the energy is going to go in that. So you do not want your graft to be hurting in any way. You want it to be healthy. And right now, if it's still in the dormant stage, this is the time that you want to do that. And that's with the scion wood that is collected during the winter.
Right. Is
And
it-
keeping it, because you said at a temperature of 35,
Yes.
34 degrees Fahrenheit, twigs, whatever you're keeping, you want to keep it so it's cool still and it has a chance to go through the process of healing and all of that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
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 Well, I don't have those tools
Or you don't have the tools available?
with me. I can go get it and show it to them.
Okay.
I could do that.
Yeah, so they said there are some types of grafting that can be done in the summer, the bud grafting. And you didn't do the technique that you did was
The sign grafting,
right?
right.
Right, the bud grafting. It's a little bit more intense, even though it's becoming very popular now, the bud grafting, but that's not a technique that my husband has subscribed to yet at this point, and hopefully maybe in our next time that we're doing grafting. But this one, I know he was successful with doing this type of grafting already last year. He did he did the peach trees.
All right, I did.
We had peaches, but what happened was the peaches, with the wind came, they all fell off.
Yes.
We had lovely, so it was successful and the graft was successful, but then we had the issue with the strong winds, and we'll get into that one in another episode. These are all of the things that you don't know you're going to face
Right.
with gardening, but you're going to face that, and it's a part of life, and it's okay. But you realize, I didn't take care of that one. Now
Right.
I have to prepare for the next one.
Right.
But the succession rate of his grafting, the sign grafting, I would say was 100% last time.
I'm glad that,
Yeah.
it brings me joy, it brings us joy when we prune our trees.
Right.
And we graft our trees to get a better diversity of fruit. What I was gonna say, I think I skipped my mind. Oh, yes, that grafting is not just for trees. You can graft your vegetable plants too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you graft your.
Yeah, I'm always taking cuttings. Cuttings
Propagating.
and propagating. I'm taking, it's not grafting so much as, but I grow plant from plant.
Yeah, you do, you're good at it.
And we'll be showing that probably in the next week with some sweet potato slips for hopefully next week. But things that we overwintered and we let stay, now it's the time that we're making I call them new transplants or new plants from them.
Right.
Before we clear out our garden beds, because we have to make room for the new, even though everything looks lush and green and we've been thankful and grateful to eat out of
We
there
are.
all year long.
Yeah.
It's hard to just go and cut it down. But
Very
but
hard.
the solution is to that is what we've been doing. We've been growing all year.
Buy more raised beds.
Yeah, and well, yeah, he wants to get more. But we've been growing all year, and we're going to continue to grow all year because we have not had a time that we have not had fresh produce,
Right.
and that's so important. We don't go through the winter wondering, oh my gosh, I can't make a herbal tea. I don't have greens.
It's such a blessing.
It's such a blessing. I would say 85% of our vegetables come from our garden, and that's really good to know that we have a pharmacy and an herbal garden and a vegetable
Exactly.
garden, and we're hoping to produce our fruit crops, and that's why he's working on this so intensively with the soil now, the pruning of the trees, and now the grafting, because we're actually running out of time.
Right.
Our time is up. And speaking of time, grafting time, how long does it take a tree to accept the graft?
I would say a few weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a few weeks. When the sap is running, because it's energizing that branch that you grafted in to the tree.
That gives it time to grow that callus,
Exactly.
that hard callus on it.
Exactly.
So about 3 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, and not that you have to do anything, because you're not going out there to say, oh, gee, I need this time, but just letting you know that this would be the time, because in 3 weeks' time, just think about if he's doing grafts now, and we're in the last week of February, then we will be right close to spring by the time they're healing, right?
Right.
Right around,
Exactly.
so, and you already know everything is ready with all of the rains that we've been getting, and everything else, everything is ready now. It's filling up with nutrients, and it's going to be ready to start to produce flower buds and come out, and now all of that energy was going to be reversing. So whatever you're going to do, from feeding your trees, really feeding them, and I think My husband said he's due for another feeding, I think this week, heavy
Yes.
feeding to the trees. I think even though they receive lots of water, it's so important right now to give heavy feedings, of course, all organic, but getting those feedings in, the pruning, because this is getting them ready for the battle, because the summer is truly the battle.
Right.
Spring is wonderful, but then they'll be straining, and that's when the fruit is now trying to produce and ripe. The flowers are wonderful when they come out, but it's when it's time to actually let that fruit become juicy and big and supple. It's gonna That's the time that they're gonna struggle. So everything that we can do in between that time, because this is such a hot, arid summer. Once we hit June, from June
It's too
all the
late.
way, it's too late.
It's too late,
Yeah, whatever
yeah.
you haven't done, you're just kind of gonna try to grin and bear it, because you can't just cover every tree. We might be able to cover and protect our garden vegetables, our tender vegetables, but the trees are basically on their own, wouldn't you
Right.
say?
They are.
So if you don't do for them now and take care of them now, don't look to trying to do anything for them for the summer. It's too hot, and even if you trim them in the summer, it's not a good thing.
Right.
So it's
Bad.
like, yeah. So whatever you're gonna do, grafting, this will be the time to do it and the time to put in the work. So I was told that you can graft trees, a branch to a tree, or take like a stump from a tree and then put a branch to it.
Yes.
And then actually, so is that true?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's amazing, because, I really wanted an olive tree. And at this point, we have a sister that does the same type of gardening as we do here in Las Vegas. And she has a huge 40-year-old, not 40, probably 45, 50 years old olive tree. And it's so beautiful. So we wanted to do another type of grafting to, I don't know what they would call that technique, that we're going to place the bag over a portion of the tree.
Oh, yes.
We're
You
gonna,
put soil around it.
yeah, scaffold it up a little bit, and expose a little of the skin, and then we're going to put a bag around it. So rootings will come out, and then we're going to cut it. And if we're going to do that, we have to get there this weekend to do that too.
Right.
Because we've been threatening, and she's been telling us, come take the whole tree up, but we really don't want to pick up the whole tree. If we can get a big part of the tree
Right.
itself and get it to root, then that would be satisfactory, because, we have some trees, and she has some branches coming out that's large. So I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
And so I think my husband's going to do a video on that, and we'll show you the process. We're going to hope to get over there maybe this weekend and do that, so we can actually,
Yeah.
I don't know why the light's going off in his head right now. He knew about this, but he's like, yeah, come back to me. So we're going to do that. But back to saying that, I don't know if that one's going to take a longer time to heal, but we do want to get it in. We have one more week left in this month, so we have to get that in. And not that we have to go exactly to the day of the month, but
Right.
as in Las Vegas, even though we've had the heavy rains, today is a nice day. It's probably in the 60s.
Yeah.
late-
Yeah. 60s a day.
yeah. So, we know we're headed for that hot weather, and we have so many other projects to get to. This is not the only thing. We don't have a lot of time.
No, we don't.
People say, well, you need more land, you need this. And even though we're planning on having a place in Africa, and that's coming, we realize, we won't be the ones just taking care of it. We'll be the ones laying it out, because this takes up a lot of time. As being seniors, it does take a lot of time. We enjoy this.
We do.
And we enjoy this so much because it's our lifestyle. But as we get older, we want to make sure that we have enough energy to do that and do the other things that we love.
Right.
We have another channel, and that's our Genesis to Revelation, Gen to Read, that we travel in exploration, and we go and find. I get a chance to go foraging, looking for new plants. My
Yes.
husband gets a chance to
Fly his drone.
fly his drone and do documentaries and
Release the Krakens.
so, we're busy. So we always are busy doing these things. Either I'm working on another children's book, and I get my, my boost of energy from seeing life with our grandkids, or going to different places and reading books with them. So it's a lot. So we have to make sure our life is balanced and our energy
do.
is balanced.
We do.
But we depend on our garden to keep us going. We depend on our exercise. Him being, he has some injuries that he has to make sure he's taken care of, as far as, being able to be physical, as well as we all do have something that we have to do. So we have to make sure we're taking care of ourselves. But this is our life. We love gardening.
We do.
We love giving back to the soil. We love sharing with people in the community. And we're pretty fairly new YouTubers. We've been doing it not as professionals, but just as people. and we will always stay in the people zone because that's who we are.
Oh, yes.
You know, we're just
Plain
people.
folk.
We're plain folk and wanting to share what we do with those that's willing to take the journey with us. So, you know, I don't have a lot more to say about this. If you don't have any more to say about
I
it,
have a little more to say.
so he has more to say, and I'm going to stop talking.
Okay, she does what she does very well. I rely on her because she keeps her poise, and yet she knows what she's talking about. That's the herbalist wife. I call her Dr. Cooper because that's what she is. She's a healer. But what I wanted to do, I came across a documentary that's very important, and I think if you get a chance, you should look at it. I think it only has one more day left before it debut. This is like a what they do when they go to movies in France. And they give people just a taste, of what the movie's going to be like. So let me see if I can run it across for you, and I hope you guys catch this because it's very important that you look at to talk about where our food comes from.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's called Need to Grow.
Hey everyone, I wanted to take 1 minute to quickly thank you for joining in this free screening. My name is Rob Herring, and I directed The Need to Grow with my good friend Ryan Wyrick. When we started this project over 5 years ago, we wanted to tell a story of people working on solutions to the biggest problems that we face on this planet. Now since then, things have only become more urgent. Topsoil erosion, aquifer depletion, climate change, all threaten our ability to grow healthy food and to envision a livable future on this planet. But in the next 90 minutes, you get to witness an incredibly moving and inspiring story. So please consider sharing this free screening with your friends and loved ones. And like any good superhero movie, stay tuned until the closing credits for a surprise scene that I know you'll enjoy. And most importantly, to find out how you can put all of what you're about to see into action in your own life. So on behalf of Rosario Dawson, Ryan Wyrick, Food Revolution Network, and our whole team, I hope you enjoy the film.
Things grow at exponential rates. They're not linear. And if they're going to fail, they fail exponentially as well. They collapse. Our top priority right now is to repair the soil. Can't go on that way. We'll all just wind up dying.
If we stay on our course, we could look at a worldwide catastrophe.
In the United States, we're losing soil at 10 times the rate it takes to regenerate it.
We have plenty of civilizations over the course of time that didn't get that right. And so our challenge is how do we make sure that we're not one of them?
We're still in kind of an extraction mentality, where it's what it costs us to bring it out of the earth. It's not what the earth has paid to get it in. We need to start shifting from a death-based or a harvest-based mentality into a life-based economy.
Industrial agriculture says we have to go with these machine-intensive, chemical-intensive means of producing food, and that is a false dichotomy.
The more you care for biodiversity, the more you care for the soil, the more food you actually grow.
The issue we're facing right now is two different futures.
You cannot feed the world from dead soil.
Then the ecosystem begins to unravel.
Things are collapsing everywhere. Food essentially has no nutrients in it these days.
People know that it's hurting people. People know that it's harming the environment, and they do it anyway.
We got to stop focusing on the problem and start focusing on the solution.
Not one single solution that's going to solve every problem, but many, many small solutions that collectively will actually lead to a societal shift.
but it takes the will of the people. And I think that time is coming. I think that time is coming.
It didn't take very long for us to tear the soil apart, to tear it down. We need an equal solution, the inverse of that, to build it back up again. So what we've tried to do here is to take natural biological processes and accelerate the regeneration of soil. Something that would normally take decades or a few hundred years, we can do in a matter of hours or days.